I guess this one is going to be a short discussion because it's a sort of interesting story that isn't an interesting story when you sort of take a look at it. Reports this week, spearheaded from Tom Warren at The Verge, that Microsoft has decreased the boot time of the Xbox Series consoles. It's about 5 seconds faster. And in theory, we sort of look at this as some kind of fantastic optimization push. But it seems that it's just a video sequence at the beginning that's been shortened by 5 seconds. Alex,
Wow.
what do you make of this? I mean, I just can't get my head around the idea that you'd launch a machine and artificially slow down its boot.
Yeah, right.
With an
I just
extended
can't
video
get around
sequence.
that. Yeah, because like it was all about the whole next gen was all about like it's so much faster. It loads
Yeah,
so
the
much faster.
SSD is instant loading.
Yeah, instant loading, and then you just have like a video file. And the interesting thing is that it took so long to do this because,
Yeah.
as far as I understand, if it's a video file, it's just about getting a different asset in there at this point in time. And like you could like intern that out, like intern, just like, like import it into Premiere or Final Cut and just, speed it up by 200% or something like that. And that's it, that's done. There's your concept development for you. I just think it's very cute that that was the thing that was behind it. Kind of unexpected.
Yeah.
John, thoughts on this?
That's weird.
Let's talk. We've got to talk about Dreamcast, haven't we?
Sure, why not? I actually am a fan of console boot up sequences. I consider myself an expert and an enthusiast of these over the years, and there's quite a few good ones. But in the past, so I've always had this feeling that console boot up sequences used to represent sort of the equivalent of sort of a 64K demo scene kind of thing, right? Where it's this little tiny real-time sequence that's polished, aesthetically pleasing, and presents like sort of a nice little sound along with it that sort of gets you in the mood to play. And it should be fast enough that it doesn't impede on your gameplay. In case like the Dreamcast, it actually is reasonably lengthy. I thought it was very memorable, but Sega did allow you to press start to essentially skip it if you wanted to, right? Which I guess is the difference here. Like Microsoft could have, they've basically shortened it rather than allowing you to skip it, which is, I kind of had wished it had been a real-time thing though, just because that was the focus of those in the past. I mean, Sega Saturn always had a great boot up sequence. I'm sure you remember that one, Rich. Although that one varied per region. So Japan's boot up was a little different than in the US and Europe. I guess those kind of began with CD-based consoles primarily, and they've kind of come and gone. The PlayStation 2 had a nice one where it would fill up the towers based on what was on your memory card. GameCube has an interesting one that I think people remember still very well today. That's also real time. But then starting with, I guess, PS3 and everything since PS3 on the Sony side has pretty much dropped any sort of real startup sequence. It'll just kind of show like Sony Computer Entertainment with a little bit of a sound at best, not even anymore, and then it just kind of jumps in, and I guess that's what people want these days. But I did appreciate that the Series X and S has a boot up sequence. It's just kind of interesting to learn that it is just a little video that they've trimmed down to shorten it, and that's perfectly fine. I actually, to be fair, with modern consoles, I usually leave them in the low power mode, so I wasn't seeing the boot up sequence anyway. Like on Xbox,
Right.
you're just in that low power mode, and you turn it on, it's just right at the home screen. You only get the boot up sequence if you completely shut it down. But now that it's
Right.
faster, maybe that's actually a way to go and save energy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they don't just have like a fast boot option, which would just turn off the video sequence entirely. That would save you even more seconds.
We don't know if they probably are still doing something behind the sequence, right? Like
You'd hope so.
I assume there's a little bit of a boot up process there anyways, and they've maybe
there definitely is,
right, like it's not just instant on. There
it's
is,
like when you turn on the PS5 or Xbox Series X, there's always like still black screen until these things happen.
They've probably, so I guess the question is did they just shorten the video clip, or did they actually reduce the startup time, and as a consequence they were able to shorten the video clip, right?
I'd hope.
We'll never know.
I don't know.
We'll never know. We should ask.